Today we're going to be looking at the Basilisk Hyperspeed from Razer. This one is the entry level version of the Basilisk series, so we'll see how it fares with a more modest price tag. For those with a keen eye may notice there's a familiarity here with another mouse. It's the Logitech G502, a big chunky boy that has been a favourite of casual mouse users for what seems like an age. And for the first time I have now justified purchasing all these mice and keeping them, having to hear naysayers with their words of, "We're struggling for money, can you please just sell a mouse?" or "There's so many, they're all over the house, every drawer I open there's a mouse in here," or "Chris, I'm leaving you, it's clear you care more about your mice than me." Well, look who's laughing now, me, because it's a good job I never got rid of these mice, as now there's one that's similar to. So let me just start off with a closer look at the shape and comfort side of things. I really like the shape of this mouse. It's 130mm long, 60mm wide and 42mm tall. Razer has resisted the temptation to go a bit wacky on the design here, which is good to see. There's still a bit of flair, but compared to the G502 it looks quite tame and reserved. I can definitely see some dead skin and other biohazards potentially getting caught in some of these little gaps though. Holding this with a palm grip is a dream. It's so nice and snug on my hand, every digit on my fist feels like it's been given its own special attention. You could use this for other grip types like the claw and fingertip grip, but personally I would say that would be pointless. This mouse is really designed to be used with a palm grip, and that's where you get the most benefit from it. You even get a little thumb rest on the left side, which is cozy. It's a nice little touch, I guess. It also has a nice rubberized coating which covers a part on the right side of the mouse as well. The rest of the coating is a coarse matte texture, which I think is comfortable, and honestly Razer's coating I feel is one of the best and most consistent out of all the other manufacturers. Now for the elephant in the room. For some they would say this is a literal elephant, as it weighs around 105 grams, which is quite heavy. It does say on the website that it's 83 grams, but that is not including the battery. I personally don't mind the weight anyway. I've used mainly light mice for the past year or so, averaging around about 60 grams, and moving to this hasn't really caused me any problems. You get a total of 6 programmable buttons. The mouse 1 and 2 switches feel great and consistent. I believe the switches for this are Omron switches. I can't find much more information about it, so if it's anything like the standard versions, it should last for around 50 million clicks. These switches are completely fine and I have no complaints with them whatsoever. The buttons are a little bit rigid, so I feel like overall it might require a little bit more force than other mice that are using Omron switches. Regardless, there is no pre or post travel, which is any movement that the buttons make before or after triggering the switch. The side buttons are excellently placed if you really adopt your palm grip with the mouse. They could be triggered by a slight roll of the thumb, and during some more intense moments I never really find that I hit these by mistake. So if you're someone that has them bound to something important, you'll probably be happy to know that you won't be pulling out a smoke grenade during a fight. The scroll wheel is also very impressive. Unlike the G502 and the more pricier variants of the Basilisk, you don't get an unlockable scroll wheel, but honestly that's just a gimmick so you can do cool stuff like this. Scroll wheel as well feels very good. The notches are very responsive, so it's easier to scroll precisely, and apart from the minor issue with the switch triggering, this scroll wheel is pretty much perfect. The final button for this mouse is the DPI one, and it works. That's all I can really say. So in terms of wireless performance, this thing is absolutely fine. I have no issues with it whatsoever. The dongle, which is situated inside the mouse, has more than enough range, and unlike some other wireless mice that I've used, this thing hasn't skipped once. Battery life Razer says is up to 285 hours on the Hyperspeed wireless setting, so it's roughly 11 days of playtime. You can get more by using Bluetooth, but I'm a gamer and I will not accept inferior technologies, so my mouse always has the gamer switch set to on. No compromises. The battery life is great. It's probably going to get to a point where it will go dead, and it's because I forgot it even takes batteries. To replace the battery, just pop off the back and then you have its insides on display. Next to the battery sits a small holder for the USB dongle. The back is also kept in place with magnets, so there's no chance it's just going to pop off suddenly. Regrettably though, it is a removable battery you have to use, and which one you use will dictate the weight of the mouse overall and add a bit of inconsistency. There is a battery indicator as well, which is the DPI button, and it will just start flashing red when it's around 5%. On the software side, you have Razer Synapse. Now, you don't actually need to install it, which is nice. However, the default DPI functions are 800, 1800, 3600, 7200 and 16000 DPI. Omitting 400 DPI from this selection is somewhat blasphemous to me. I'm sure they've got a good reason, but I feel that people might use 400 more than 16,000. I am curious if anyone actually uses these higher DPI values, so if you do, let me know in the comments section below so I can laugh at you. But you can change the amount of DPI options it scrolls through to something more personal in the software. You can also swap around various binds and configure mouse mats. There is a smart feature though that lets you configure the lift-off distance to either 1mm or 2mm on a surface, or you can select which Razer branded mouse mat you own, as in their own words, to experience an even higher level of precision. I do not know what that means. There is also a final section that lets you set the sleep timer when it's idle. The default is 5 minutes. It wakes up about after half a second, so it's pretty responsive. Outside of the glaringly offensive issue with the DPI values, the software is okay and very basic, and that's great. The mouse is basic as well, so I feel like it actually adds to the strength of this overall. Even though there is less features than the pricier variants, it means there's less stuff to go wrong and less time sifting through options and the like, which for someone that loves simplicity is brilliant. In-game performance is fine. I've had no problems at all on my Extrify GP4 pad, which is the main one I'm using. It feels great to use and keeps up with everything that I am doing. The mouse is using plastic feet and not PTFE, so it does mean that it's a bit slower on some of the pads that I am using. It's a bit disappointing that they are plastic, but you can't have everything, I guess. Now for me personally, the best thing about this is the price. At the moment, from the time of this review, the price is just $35 down from $60, or £42 down from £60, and for this price I would say that this is an absolute steal. This mouse is incredibly simple and you're getting something that honestly feels very well made, it's comfortable for palm grip users, and performs to a high standard. There are some minor drawbacks, being the slightly chunky weight of 105 grams and plastic mouse feet. But honestly, I've used this for a bit now, and regardless of these flaws, it's still an incredible mouse for the price.